Do we know that for sure? No? I know he's close to being back. He's awfully good. Now I will say this: even when we played him the first time, and they brought him, I believe, and Seraphim off the bench, and those guys really exposed us on the interior. But they're deep in the bigs. Gooden has added a great deal. Right when he got here, Harrington's playing very well, shooting the three, so it adds a little bit of a different dimension to the bigs. And then, Seraphim's a guy that can come off and score as he did in the first game we played him. So they're bigs. They have a lot of depth at that big spot. Nene's a great player, and he's really hurt us both games. But I do think they've got good depth.
Maybe not tonight, Brad. Do you see the potential for the need to see Joel and Chris back, those guys, as more of a priority per se, to get them on the floor and just see what they can do with extended minutes as we get along?
More Joel than anybody, but still, we're going into every game and we're going to put our best foot forward to try to win the game and right now I feel like all four bigs are giving us something and playing well, but Joel's not far from those guys, and so yes, I would like that if the opportunity presents itself appropriately. But one thing I'm not going to do, Sherrod, is force that because I think it's very fair to we're just going to keep coaching our team, and all four of those other guys have had really good moments too.
Brett, how important is it to have someone who can both play well off the bench and in a spot start situation also be able to handle that situation as well?
Yeah, I mean it's like Jared Bayless. It's important, but the difference between starting and coming off the bench is I know it's a big deal to some people, but it's really not a big deal in the big scheme of things. You're either ready to play or you're not, no matter when your time comes. And so, I think Jared's a good pro. We talked about this last week. I've been very pleased with him and his growth. Jared's a guy that when we get here last night, he finds a gym to shoot in and takes guys with him. That's not all that common, and I think that's something that's a real positive. But that's a guy that just wants to be ready for his time, regardless of if it's starting or coming off the bench.
Is it easier, in your estimation, for guys to be able to, I guess, mold themselves into a different group? Because obviously, if he's starting, he's playing with a different group than he's off the bench. Do you think it's easier than maybe people on the outside see it as?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like we talked about with Sully too. I mean, Sully comes in at the 6 or 7 minute mark, so he plays with the starters most of the time, or whoever we leave in there with him, and then Jared usually is in soon thereafter. We've had enough injuries where it's been mix and match, just the way it goes. But I think he's done a really good job regardless who he's playing with. I think the harder thing is playing different positions, and he's done a great job of that.
How much of a challenge will this be for your second unit facing this team that's kind of like you guys in a lot of evenness?
Yeah, I don't know about the evenness part because I think you got like an all-star in Wall and Beal and guys. They've got a really good team, and I think what you're probably talking to is they've got great depth. And the guy who probably hasn't gotten enough talk, at least maybe he is in the Washington market, but he's not that I hear of, is Ariza. Ariza's gone up since we played him last time in most statistical categories. He's averaging close to 15 a game now. He shot the three great all year. He killed us in the first game there. He can turn it up defensively and be a great defender. And he really had a huge impact on our game here last time, where we had a great big lead, and then they came back, and his defense was a big reason why. I think there's a lot of good players on that team, but they do have good depth, and the depth in the front line is very solid, and then the shooting that they have. The other guy that doesn't get a lot of talk, but can change a game by himself is Webster.
The Final Four, a few days away, you're back in a building where one of those runs for you started. How much have you let your mind think back to any of that?
You know what? We talked about it a little bit when we were here last time, and I almost text text a couple of our former players as I was walking by the Georgetown locker room, because that's where we were. Good memories, obviously, great memories. This is, we didn't go from here to a Final Four. We went from here to a Sweet 16, but those 2 games and those 2 wins are up there with any of them that I've ever been a part of. And so it was certainly, it certainly provides great memories.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you mentioned earlier today a long season, sometimes a trying season. How have you kept yourself motivated and, looking at the next step in improving this team?
So keeping myself motivated is not hard. I mean, I think I've been really fortunate to have coached in some moments that you can only dream about coaching in. And the day after you wake up, you try to do it again. And when things don't go your way, the day after you wake up, you try to get better and do it, be as good as you can be the next day. I don't think that changes if you don't allow yourself to get caught up in either thinking too highly of yourself or getting too down on yourself. And I think it's really important that in this arena that our players do that as well. I mean, they have to have confidence to go out and play even when things are not going their way, and they have to have humility to handle success. And that's for the good teams, that's for the not so good teams, that's for everybody. But moving on and what you do the next day is a lot more indicative of who you are. And so it is a struggle just from the human nature element. But I do think that I try my best to be focused on what's next.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brett.